Welcome back to the channel, and we're in a rainy Akiva today, and we're going to go through some essential settings. Some you might know, some you might not, but I think these settings that I'm about to suggest will make sure that you get the most out of the game as possible. Should be good. Let's do it. So let's start off with one of the most significant changes I've made, and that is to the way the game actually looks and how much information you can see now. I'm going to take it back to the defaults here, and I'll show you a comparison here, but let's go to display and graphics. So here in display and graphics, we need to concentrate on this one. You can either have cinematic display or you can have full screen display. Now by default, I've basically run this one, and you would have seen that in a lot of my videos with the borders and the cinematic look. And I've run it at a specific kind of view, and I'm going to default to that in a second, and I'll show you what that's like. So here is the default view, and you can see you don't really get a lot of information. So that's how I've always run the game for quite a while until recently, and then I started playing around with this, because when I put this into full screen on this view, I always felt it was just, everything was just, I don't know, very big, and it just felt too close. And I was surprised there wasn't a POV slider, point of view slider. In fact there is, but they've hidden it in the menus, and I don't know why they've hidden it where they have, but let me show you the difference here now. When you play around with the POV sliders, I'll show you where the POV slider is first of all, and then I'll show you a comparison. So if I go into my settings menu, and I go to gameplay, and I'll go down to visual, there we go. You can see here view angle and view angle while aiming. Well, look what happens when I bump this up, and I've been playing on about 100 to 110 with this, and yeah, you'll see straight away there is a huge difference. Let me show you a side-by-side comparison, and you'll see this. This actually does make a huge difference in the amount of information that you're able to see in the game. So here you go, the default 75, and we're running at 100 POV, and this is in full screen mode in both of these, and you can see, just look at the level of detail that you get as a difference. It's astounding, and everything's going to look so much better. You're going to be able to track enemies so much better. Obviously enemies in the distance are going to be a lot smaller, so there is going to be an adjustment period here, but it is absolutely worth it to make this change. I think you're going to get a heck of a lot more out of the game by using these settings. But yeah, POV is one of those personal preferences, so just play around with it and find your sweet spot. For me, in most games, I'm in around the 94 to 95 area when I'm playing with a POV slider. So just try different levels, play around in the game, and see what works. Okay, so let's continue on with the visual settings. I'll show you what I actually run. So I'm running full screen now with that POV slider on. I always run performance. If you want to run quality, that's up to you guys. Quality, performance, either or. I usually have motion blur switched off, I have camera motion blur switched off, and I have per object intensity switched off. I have film grain and chromatic aberration all switched off to make the game look a little bit more sharp and a little bit more clear. I don't like any of these in any game, so I usually have all of those switched off by default. Okay, let's get into some of the gameplay settings that I use. So there are a number of adjustments that you can make to your gameplay. If you're finding the enemies are too difficult or not difficult enough, you can change them here. Story is probably easy mode, regular, challenging, and hard. If they're not hard enough for you, I'll leave these on default. I don't really see I'm having fun with the game the way it is. You can actually change the automatic cooldown slider that you actually see on your gun. I've actually just done a tutorial how to get around this in my 10 hidden things that you need to know. So if you want to, if you're having trouble with that little slider, that cooldown with your blaster, then there are a way of getting around it, but you can just switch it off and it'll, as it says, automatically cools your blaster perfectly. So if that's an annoyance, you can switch it off there. I tend to have always sprint on. That's not on by default, that's off. But the reason I have this on, always sprint on, is it just makes your combat movement a lot smoother. And to sprint, you don't have to push down on your stick. So I like to have that on. Explorer mode, I'll have that switched off, but this is one, if you switch it on, just watch the photograph. See all those yellow lines that give you an indication where to go? They'll be switched off. So if you want a more immersive kind of experience, you can switch that on. Camera screen shake intensity, I have it 0. I hate any kind of camera shake on the screen, so I have that switched off. And then we'll get into some of the in the mini games. Now, if you've been playing Sabacc, you'll see that there's a default number there, which is sometimes hard to read, sometimes not. If you prefer something that's easier to read, just switch on simple numerals, and then it will just default to very simple numbers. And I think I might just leave that on now because I like it. The rest I don't touch. Lockpicking I have switched off, and I've done a tutorial about that. I just switched the lockpicking challenge off, don't like it. Likewise, you can switch the slicing minigame off, and you can actually switch Nix's street food minigame off if you like. And apart from that, everything else I have just as stock standard. I haven't touched any of these. So that's pretty much all the settings that I change personally, but there are a number of things that you might want to change personally for your own preference, and I'll show you a few for the interface. You can actually change the text size. You can make it larger if you have problems with your eyes or something. You can go to an even simpler font, which I think actually looks quite nice, and then to make it large, that might be an option for you. Capitalize words or not capitalize, up to you. Actually, not capitalize actually looks a little bit nicer, I'm not going to lie. And yeah, if you want to get in the colorblind presets, you can, like that. I don't tend to do that too much because it sometimes just makes games weird. If you want to do that, you can. You can see that it has made quite a difference to the user interface, and I do like a bit of green, but I probably just put that on default for now. So have a look in here. You can actually have a center dot if that helps you. You can see it on the screen. To me, in this game, it's not necessary. And if it was an FPS shooter, it might help, but I really don't see the need for it, to be honest. So I'll leave everything else at default. But there you go, ladies and gentlemen. I hope that helps. Go in and have a look around in here. You can change metric or imperial. Metric's kilometers, imperial's miles, whatever it is in your country if it's not set properly. But there's a lot of stuff that you can do here to customize the game to the way you want it. I just wanted to share some of the defaults, some of the changes I make to the default for my own personal use, and I think that a lot of those will benefit your gameplay and your experience in the game. Hope this is useful. If it is, leave a like down below because it really does help the channel out, and if you've got any suggestions for more videos, let me know in the comment section. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time on Gaming for XP. See ya.